That was really nice to see that picture from like
John, if you look, I saw John Luke's face here. Like, such a great cover. I just well, I was thinking here. I was sitting here and I saw his face come through the door, and it took me a moment to be gone already. Sheila, you just got to roll with it. That's for John. Yes. So it is live streaming? Oh, okay, so people on the internet can see us right now. That feels a little odd, but yeah, and look where he's on the camera. Look where he's got the camera right at you guys. We just got it. Okay, John, I think we'll get started. Yes. Okay. Virginia, shall we get started? Okay. Yeah. You. Welcome. I just told you. She was yeah. See, you got I know you're introducing the speakers. You work on everything?
You do that.
Yeah. I was thinking you were before. Oh, yeah.
So you can do that.
Do you want to focus it on Sure.
So what is this new?
We're live streaming.
Oh, to who?
On our website. So people can go on our website and click on it and they can watch.
Wow, and can they watch after? Because like
we will. It'll be recorded, right? Yeah. So they can watch it after.
Oh wow. All right. Look, there's so many kids. I should have told Manoj, but Sasha wanted to play days.
Yeah.
So.
What would you like
Oh, she had Ellie. Do you know Ellie from our building? Heather? Yeah. That little girl, yes. So.
You mean they're actually here in Toronto? They're just down the road?
They're, yes, exactly. Oh, actually, those people moved, so they're not in our old condo anymore. But yes, because I don't know, I couldn't take it.
I know.
All right, so shall we settle down and start the program? Yes. Okay, so does everybody want to take a seat? All right, welcome everybody to the C.H.E.R annual board meeting. We are so happy that all of you could be here, that we could all join together. We mostly meet over the phone, and it's nice that once in a year at least. We used to do this a lot more often. C.H.E.R and I would drive to Oshawa to Kingsway Pioneer Homes. Remember that drive, C.H.E.R?
That's
yes,
right.
And that was so much fun, and we had all the other members. I remember
with the music and talking.
Yes, and I remember John thinking when C.H.E.R was driving, and there was not that many houses, and I was like, wow, like look at all these living out here, like, and I wonder what it's like to live here, because it was just lots of greenery, and I've always lived in cities all my life. So this is my first experience with so much green space. And so I never, ever, ever imagined that, I don't know, 14 years down, exactly, that I'll be living there with so much greenery around, and I have all kinds of allergies now, including here. Still worth it. We are glad to have moved, and we like our church, but we like this place too. And so one thing that hasn't changed is C.H.E.R. and my association with C.H.E.R. And the reason how I even came to know is through C.H.E.R. But eventually we grew, and now we have different members. So I'm so grateful and thankful, and I pray that more and more people will believe in this cause and will support us and pray for us and join our endeavors to support children around the world. So we will start with just a simple prayer. If we can close our eyes and bow down our heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for giving us this beautiful day where we could all gather here for a very noble cause. We thank thee for bringing each one of us safely here. As we are about to now dwell upon thy word a little bit, learn about the children that we are sponsoring, the needs of C.H.E.R. Canada, our future goals, and what we want to plan to do in the next 1 year. Please be with each of us, guide us, give us wisdom as we make decisions, as we talk about what we need to do, and be with us every step of the way. Be with C.H.E.R. in a special way. Thank you for all the wonderful work she's been doing. Thank you for giving her such a supportive husband who's here with us every board meeting and supporting us. We pray thee for being with that family in a very special way. Be with the speaker as well at the hour. I pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. So there are refreshments back here. Please come with your plates, and I will be happy to serve What's that? Here you are, all right. I forgot to put my knives out, so I am going to avoid it. Okay. The washroom is down this hallway to the right. Yes. Okay, so.
I don't see that.
Cranberry, Heather, what type of bread is it? Cranberry orange. Cheese? All right. What can I get for you? Crackers? Do you just round it here? Is that enough? Is that enough? Cheese? There's a little hot samosa on the side here. You can try one and tell. I don't know. You will be the deciding. The deciding vote. I did.
We were talking
Sorry.
about these yesterday, so let's keep going.
Crackers. No cheese.
There, all right. And it's cold.
Nicholas, no homework this weekend? No? Not really. That's good. No cheese or anything? No? Okay.
After that, they everything. And you only have to be there.
Cheese for you, Nicholas? Nothing? Yes? No? Buns? Okay. Buns for you, gentlemen?
Felix after.
How often do you get called gentlemen?
Yeah.
Not too often? What? Vexing?
Woke up at 1:58,
No?
going back to sleep at 2:01.
Right.
You, yeah, so something around 35.
Right.
Hey, I forgot to put knives out, so there are knives here.
Yes.
Would you like me to grab that for you? If you like.
Okay.
you like one more?
And the other
For you.
because if I did, if I
Um,
did
Forget
like
it.
at night, I would. It was pretty late. And I said, yeah. And I said, I need to like
This is,
okay. Do you?
It's good to have you now.
Would you like small square?
It's 9 o'clock sounds like.
No, no, I usually, yes. I usually get
Just
that.
leave some food for us.
Yeah, I like the meeting before I do my first thing, but I think that first.
Well, you can come
Yeah.
You guys bring your own plate, yeah?
Yes. Yes.
Nothing that.
I just don't know what's in charge of hot water. Irene, do you wanna, Irene, sorry. Would you like another square? My parents had 4 children, but they like all started with S's. They used to just go through the whole list every time, so. Especially if it was on the phone, oh my goodness, my dad would call and then he wouldn't know which one it was. Or, no, sure, no. Yeah. Irene, how did you like Australia? Was it good? I always wanted to go, and you can help yourself to food. I always wanted to go, but you see those YouTube videos with the, why Australia is the deadliest place on earth, and they'll show you like the top 10 deadly things with the spiders and the snakes. Did you guys see anything like terrifying? Nothing at all. Oh, in the zoo. I know, but there's supposed to be beaches where there's like saltwater crocodiles hanging out. So you guys didn't see any?
There were places where you said don't go around. So we went down to the.
Oh, okay, okay. So that's good. Good for you. It's a place I always wanted to go. Sure. Australia. You always see those videos. Do I get home? Oh, is she? I see. Okay. What do you want me for you? Get all wrapped up in your sleeve.
Once a quarter.
Well, I'm making your job hard. I'm just walking around with these tongs.
There's a sacrifice.
Well, that's one way to get kids interested in fish.
Okay.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Well, it was freezing cold at work one day. They didn't do water bottles. Usually they have hot water bottles and people are freezing.
So she was a boy or a girl?
We watched.
It's a boy. And this is Jonathan's second? Oh, and how old was their first one?
I think after we got there, then they decided,
I was thinking, she's pretty
people
small.
wear long underwear.
Okay, and when is this baby?
Sure, that's what we did.
No boy.
I was there for the whole.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, they're quite-
Mom, what can I get for you? You got what you need? Definitely be a hot chili sauce. I think so, right? Yeah, and I think this is tamarind sauce, so it's like a kind of sweet sour type of sauce. I guess would be sort of the best way to describe it. Oh, did you? I never used to eat samosas when I was a kid. Where would we have? Not hot?
Next week.
Plug it in and I'll, when it's boiling, I'll get you back.
We got hosed without a fry. We survived, and now we can check that off. We don't have to do any more freezing winter camping. Hopefully. I think there's one in February.
So that's their
I
joke.
think so.
Heather, do you want any, would you like cider, Heather? I heard it right. In public, I'll be because
You're lucking out here. You're just at the right age. You don't have to do that.
They can. Mom, would you like cider? No, boys, how about you? Yes, of course. Cold, sweet, and liquid, why not? Okay, that's good. Maxine? No, you're good? Court's just finishing up like, we share one part of the law.
Out of nowhere, like, I didn't even know we were friends with that.
Yeah, so I have
They go and Monica would get, I don't know her. So they come and
Are you a sponsor?
for some meeting.
Great. Well, that's
It's the most random thing that she was away from the Sunday morning. Open the curtain and this guy would chat.
It's got a nice impressive sort of look to it. Yeah. You just do like something really
That's good. We good. So, and then you became a sponsor. Then the next day after you left the school, why am I doing the math here? Okay, well, my niece and nephews.
Would you ever love it?
I'm not sure. My sister just got.
How's that rousing you? You lost. Look at that.
And my sister lived this.
You don't know what you like. You know what it's called? Uno is like the games that weren't allowed to play.
We have very strong.
Which are cards. And the card games, so it's just, there's like colored blocks on it. It's like we play similar types of games, know, like, make sense, you know, things, yeah, try to look at people, it's really different. No, not quite. You and your keyboard. Yeah, that's right. Because we weren't allowed to. We played cards. I would play blackjack and stuff like that. Blackjack, we weren't betting anything. We were just playing blackjack.
I remember we used to live over.
You just have to get up to 21.
Did you?
Oh well, with 60 years. Married. You know, I think he was actually
Really? With the penny money that you had won?
Birthday money or yeah, and sometimes we have to go to
Wow.
and other times we made like less, but it was big.
Otherwise, I know them because they were, yeah, he was principal in various places, but I wasn't. My brother was in Anderson, so I went to school up there.
And his room is so cool.
Browns. Are you related to Browns? I guess they had all the names are Brown.
I have very hot water here, so if anybody would like a cup of tea now, would be like an excellent time to come and get one. All of you goes Maxine.
You can go.
Summers or.
Oh, yes. Hot drink.
Would you like a cup of tea? Yes, it's cold in here. I was leaving here for church yesterday, and this room was so cold, so when I was out getting things, I thought, let me get some tea. Oh, that's so pretty. Oh, look at that. Yeah. Oh, got it? There you go. I have. So is this not like before? Okay.
Yes, when, you mean when once a year when I come?
Did you want to get the day? Was John Scott your pastor for some time? He is.
Yes.
No problem.
But I miss the samosas, you know, the junk.
Sister Chin, would you like any tea? Tea? Summer fruit and chamomile.
Yeah, these ones. We have to go. That's not. It does, yeah, we say, I don't get. I'm used to like. So we keep driving along. In the last couple of years, it's like, I know. Except for like the
So everything comes out.
either this or the each day. Yeah.
But I'm really more so for, it's a long journey. It's about, it's a long Back then, the pictures are so rudimentary. The soccer, most work soccer we do too. You start, you're not actually 2 pages of text. It gets specialized out. Presentation. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a project. And then you space, right? And you go there, you get the right. Oh, That's what you have and that's when I go eat early. And I go early, so I get 1 hour. When my dad was dying, so there's 5 class. And that's how I got to go. Because otherwise I'd go ask the kid. Yeah.
Even Roger thought he was nice looking. I went to see my father play this last week. At like this really tiny little venue, there was like 200 people there. So it was, and we were like 5 of us we stayed there, so it was very. No, but there were not. Yeah. Well, because I have another sister, so which friend do I have? It's like the easy choice, right? What's that?
The regular passengers are all.
Yeah, he's like, oh, that'll be good. If you want to take me, I'm like, yeah, obviously I'm taking you. Yeah, I told my daughter once to the Bare Naked Ladies, and it was in Oshawa. And so I'm like, do you? Honestly, they were not that good. They really were. And the opening act, and the opening act was better than that. They were not. They were not. Really? I don't know. Okay, that was a long time ago. I don't know. They weren't that.
eat most of your food at least. I think we should move on with our program. We are going to go with the election of the board of directors. So if you look at the back of your program is where all the profiles are. And I'm just going to introduce our board of directors and have them stand. So first we have Pratima, who is this year going to be the president of our board. So that's Pratima. Beside her we have Sheila, who will be our vice president. And let's see, do you guys remember how long you've been on the board? No idea? Pratima? Have you been, wait, Paige, just hang on. I've been here since 2004. So how long have you been? Did you come the following year?
2004. Yeah, maybe 5.
Maybe 2005. And Sheila, any idea what year you started?
No, but I'm thinking, is it 5, 6, 7?
I'm thinking about 6 or 7, 6 or 7. Long-standing board members for us. Maxine, are
Before you.
yes, you were here before me. So Maxine, how long have you been here with C.H.E.R?
I think maybe 14 or 15.
14 or 15 years. There you go. We've got Mala. Mala is our newest board member, right?
Yeah.
So what are you on for 2 years now? Just one only?
Yeah, last year, yeah.
Really? I feel like it's 2. Okay, 1. So she's our newest board member. We have Heather. Heather, how long have you been? Before. Same as Sheila. Okay, so same as Sheila. We have John, who has been here. Have you been here longer than Maxine?
No, I think Maxine was here a few hours before me. She was in high school then, though. That's the problem.
Well, you've been here longer than I have because you interviewed me and hired me. So you were here before 2003 because that's when you interviewed me back in 2000. He interviewed me. Him, Pastor Jurians, and our former president, Bancroft, they were the ones who interviewed me. And I remember the interview because it was the only interview I ever went on where they prayed before they started the interview. And I was like, oh wow, yes, so I'm interviewing for a Christian organization. That's what's going on here. So John is stepping back from his role as president. So we want to just take a moment to thank him for his role as president, for all the years that he's been here with us. We really appreciate it. And Mary Lou and the kids who are always here and supporting him and making sure he calls in for board meetings and things like that.
Yeah, thank you.
And then we have Wally, who is not with us today because Wally is a world traveler and always somewhere besides the city of Toronto. But Wally's been on the board with us, Sheila, longer than you, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, so he's been on. So most of our board members have been here for quite some time. We're going to hang on to Mala for a really long time, so don't even think about doing anything else.
I have a question though.
Yes.
Serious question. So what church do members are coming from?
Go ahead.
I'm at Willowdale.
So, and you are
Sheila.
Yep, sorry.
How do you Mondragon?
Mondragon.
So she's at Willowdale.
Willowdale.
And Patricia.
I'm at Oshawa.
You're in Oshawa. Okay. Maxine, where are you?
It's in Oshawa, would be.
So Oshawa, Willowdale, and Mike. And your name is?
Heather.
And what church is it?
Willowdale and Mala.
And the pastor, most people are Willowdale, the rest of the people are Willowdale?
I'm at Oshawa with Pratima.
And Wally goes to the Harmony Church.
Okay.
Wally goes to the Harmony Church.
Are you a Harmony Church person too?
What church you go to?
I go here
I'm in Pickering.
Yeah.
So,
in Pickering.
Oh.
what church you go to? Oh, you know, you said it. Yes, Agape. I thought you said that and you know that. I said Agape.
When you said
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just want to get a sense.
Yes. And where did you say you go?
Pickering, Agape.
To Pickering. Okay.
Pickering,
Okay.
Oshawa, will be.
Apple Creek. So we have a few of our sponsors here. So we have Sister Chin, who's been here for a long time and from Malton. Yes. And our sister here, you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Jeanette Mausi.
Yes, and Jeanette is from Pickering, as we know, and this is Sister Vonica Brown from Apple Creek. So we're happy to have all the, oh, and we have all of our kids here who are here all the time. We have Mark and Manny.
I brought my daughter in for the first time to get a sense of what the program is all about.
Yes, welcome, welcome. And then we have Irene and Lily and Nicholas and Cameron. So we're very happy to have everybody here. And I guess we need to officially vote our board members in. So I would like to propose that these will be our board members for the upcoming year. If there's anybody who would like to, thank you. And I guess a second.
I'd like to, if I'm allowed.
I think you are technically allowed because I believe you are allowed because at this actual moment you are not a board member right now. So I believe you are allowed to vote. And if there's any questions or objections.
No.
Okay, so then I just assume that it is carried. All right, so thank you all board members for your long service and your soon-to-be long service. We do appreciate it. I'm going to do my presentation for you, give you all the financial information that we have going on here with C.H.E.R. First, I usually like to start with a little bit of a interactive quiz, if I can get that open. That one. You've got the other one up. Okay. And I do know fine. Okay. And this is my husband. Most of you know him, but some of you don't. And he also goes to Willowdale, and he's the head of the AV here. So that's why I've got him doing all this technical work over here. So thank you, honey. Okay, so let me just ask you a few questions, just a little interactive, get you thinking, and then I'll give you your financial information for the year. Is that my next slide? Okay, so we should know our flags. I've been testing you on flags for years now. So we should know what our flags are. Andrew, you look confused. Okay, so the kids all know, right? What's our first flag? What is the first flag? This one right on the corner?
Top left.
With the wheel in the middle, the green and the orange? Anybody know? India, that's India. The next one, the green one?
Philippines.
No, don't say that louder. It's Bangladesh. The next one is Bangladesh.
Bangladesh.
Everybody knows the Brazil flag. That one's more famous. Next to it, the black, red, and green one.
Malawi.
That is Malawi. Good job. Okay, moving to the things to know. Down in the bottom left-hand corner.
Philippines.
The Philippines. That's correct. Next to the Philippines is Sri Lanka, and the final one.
Bolivia.
It is Bolivia. See? He is smart. He is looking at our board. He is smart. Okay. So, there we go. All right. So that's the answer. I will ask you again next year. We will get this right. Okay. So a few questions for you. All right. In what country do the people seldom smile, as it is considered a sign of immaturity? It's not a joke. They don't smile because they consider it a sign of immaturity.
Is this Sri Lanka?
So, you think Malawi, this table? Anybody willing to give me an answer? John, what did you say?
I said Sri Lanka.
You said Sri Lanka, and I believe. Oh no, it's been. Oh, wait. Hang on.
6 official seasons.
Hang on. It's supposed to be Bangladesh. Okay, sorry. Where are police officers given a pay upgrade if they have a mustache?
Canada.
Where do you think? What's coming to mind? India. It is, I believe, India. Yes, it is India. Okay, where is the home of the world's longest snake, the reticulated python?
Brazil.
Brazil.
You think it's in Brazil? Roger, do you think it's in Brazil? Roger's Brazilian, so let's see. It is in the Philippines, actually. It is in the Philippines.
Depending on how good it is.
Which country has prisoners that can reduce their sentence by 4 days for every book that they read and write about? So if they read a book and do a book report, where can they reduce? John thinks this is very funny. Where is that? Where do you think?
In the Philippines. This got to be the Philippines.
It's not the Philippines, it's actually Brazil. And which country is the largest exporter of tea?
India.
You think it's India? I think it actually is Sri Lanka. And it is Sri Lanka. And final question, which country's name means flames of fire? Is that because you know or because that's the only country that I didn't get to yet? The answer is Malawi. And that's because they have these spectacular sunsets apparently over Lake Malawi, and so their name comes from this. And incidentally, another little fact that you can go and tell your friends about tomorrow, the Lake Malawi is also called Calendar Lake because apparently it's 365 miles long and 52 miles wide. So there's an odd little fact for you. Okay, so just a reminder so that we can get a little bit of perspective about our life here, which we are so used to, and their life there. Just have a few pictures for you. So methods of transportation, for example, in the countries that we work with, 17 people piled on a bicycle as opposed to our fancy cars. They have their homes. We have, with their slate roofs, and that's actually a pretty nice looking home. Sometimes you've got mud brick houses, thatched roofs. That's pretty common actually. And then we have our comfort and our insulation and our heating and our running water. We've got a typical bathroom, so as opposed to the outhouse that people have to leave their homes for and head out, and we have these conveniences. So these are just some things that we take for granted, and how many of us would like to cook in that outdoor cookhouse with the pots and the fire and the smoke everywhere? And, instead of our modern kitchens. And these are children in a classroom sitting around in a circle on a floor with their teacher who's on the floor, and they're hearing their lessons and probably writing something on a little slate, and maybe if they're lucky enough to have some pencils. And we have these state-of-the-art classrooms with laptops and internet access and interactive boards, and so these are the kinds of things that we're helping out. And these kids, when they get home, they're out helping in the house, helping in the fields, and our kids are going to dance classes and piano lessons and things like that. So it's just sometimes it's good to remind yourself how lucky we have it over here on this side of the world with our modern conveniences and our comforts, and it's good that we're involved in an organization like this, that we can help people who just don't have what we have. So now I will move to my next slide here, actually my next presentation, and I will give you the financial information that you are here to hear. Oh, okay. How come I have it on this slide then?
Just switch it back and bring back the question.
Just 1 second. Okay. All right. So once again, welcome to our annual meeting. We will just review a little bit about.
Click on the slide.
Click on it.
Now she goes like this.
Like that? Okay.
No?
No?
Sorry.
That's good? Okay, so welcome again to our annual meeting. Sorry, I think I just said that. The purpose of the annual meeting is it's a legal requirement to share our financial information to elect board members. So we actually have a function and a purpose beyond getting together, having a little bit of food and chatting with each other. So we are glad that you are here to participate in that. Our aim at C.H.E.R is threefold. We have to provide a Seventh-day Adventist education. We are here to aid in the relief of poverty, and we are also here to provide basic medical care for children. So give them some very basic things that, once again, things that we take for granted, and we are here to help other children around the world with that. Our mandate is to provide education from preschool all the way up to grade 12. To give equal opportunity for both boys and girls, because if we're left to our own devices, we tend to favor one side rather than the other. So it's important to always keep in mind and keep that at the forefront that we want to make sure that we are sponsoring both boys and girls. So whenever I ask for applications from our projects, I always ask them for an equal number of boys and girls. When I'm assigning children, I always, if I see that I'm getting too many girls or too many boys, I start piling in the applications. You just have to always keep that in mind, to be fair. We also accept any needy child, so we don't just accept children who are of the Seventh-day Adventist background. Even though that's the education that we're providing, we are accepting any child. So we have other Christian denominations, we have Catholic, we have Muslim children, we have Hindu children. As long as they're needy and the school deemed them worthy to accept financial aid, then we accept them at C.H.E.R. We work in 6 different countries, in Bangladesh, Brazil, Malawi, India, the Philippines, and Sri Lanka. It's too bad you guys didn't see the slide before I asked you your quiz questions. So I'm just going to go over the projects that we have quickly. We have, in Bangladesh, we have 10 day schools. We have 67 children sponsored in those day schools right now, compared to 34 that we had in 2015. We send over approximately $1,700 a month. In Bolivia, we had a project that was a hostel for street children. Unfortunately, this project closed in 2016, so we no longer sponsor there. The reason for that is that the government had changed the regulations of their organization. So they made them close the facility. They had them move to a different location. They sent all the children back to their homes or families for them to look after, and they've reopened the facility as more of a sort of a day program. So it's not a long-term live-in program where we can have a sponsorship with them. So it's a very, very temporary thing. So it's not the type of thing where we can have sponsors who can sponsor them and have somewhat of a long-term relationship. So unfortunately, unless they change again, our connection to them is no longer appropriate for C.H.E.R. But it was a lovely project. I really enjoyed working with them. The boys who were there were very, very nice. They sent really sweet letters to their sponsors. It was nice, but that's the government, and that's the way things are happening a lot with some of our smaller projects. They're changing a lot of the rules so that the smaller projects are having a bit more of a hard time with foreign sponsorships, aid, and things like that. In Brazil, we have a very small home. These are for abandoned girls, so sometimes these kids are not even school-age children. They are even like 2 years old, and these are kids that are coming from abuse situations. They're abandoned, they have parents who are drug addicts, things like that, and they're with social services, and social services finds places for them, and this home is one of the places that they go. It's always been very small. Maybe 6 to 10 children sort of maximum, and it kind of fluctuates in between that. So right now we're at about six children in the program there. In Malawi, we have several day schools as well as an orphanage. So in our day schools, we have 40 children sponsored right now. And in our orphanage, there are 17 children. There has actually been quite a bit of turnover in the directorship of the orphanage. The one that's there now, she seems to be doing quite a lot for them. She's got some new programs in. She's really sort of taken charge and has more of a vision. So I see a lot more things happening with the orphanage, but they had always been quite well taken care of. I never had any problems with it, but I see something more exciting happening with them now. And the person that we have in charge of the day schools now is someone new within the last 2 years, and he is a little bit more focused on our day schools. So the person that we had before was someone who had been there for a long time, and she changed jobs several times within the Adventist organization, and she hung on to her position as our correspondent, but she was she had less and less time to spend with it. So we finally sort of flipped it over and got someone who was at the union, and so he's a little bit more focused. So now we're getting more applications in from the kids and more correspondence. So it's working a little bit better. It's a little bit smoother. We have better communication with them right now. In India, which still continues to be our largest project, we have actually many more than 6-day and boarding schools. 6-day and boarding schools is really our big projects. One of our projects has about 10 or 12, but they have maybe like 4 or 5 students in each. So for the sake of understanding what we really have sort of 6 big schools that we sponsor there. 273 children, almost $8,000 a month goes to India. It is our biggest project. Mm. And it's very well run. We run it through the Southern Asian Division Union, so it's very well managed there. And then we have another big project in the Philippines, which is also run through the union as well. We have day schools as well as one small orphanage that we work with. It's more of a hostel. 168 children in the program right now, and almost $5,000 a month to the Philippines. And in Sri Lanka, which is, I think, probably our very first C.H.E.R sponsored school, John, is that correct?
I think that's right.
Through Pastor Jurians, I think that's how the whole
His
thing.
brother.
I think that whole thing got rolling through Pastor Jurians and Lakbahana. So this is
his brother was the principal there.
I think that's correct. So we have 16 children who are there. So the fluctuation that you see really sometimes depends on who the person, the C.H.E.R correspondent is. It's always a volunteer. We don't pay any of the people who are in the school to do this work. It's always a volunteer. It's the principal of the school, someone who works at the union, that type of thing. And it's, as a volunteer position, sometimes, it's not always the top priority to get things into us because they have paid work that they're doing as well. And so sometimes people get a little bit behind, and then there's a turnover to somebody. And so when there's a turnover, there tends to be sort of a lag behind in the children and the applications that come. So you can see that right now we have only 16 when we had 32 last year. So there was a turnover this year and a sort of a cleanup of the children who had gone. And so now as we get reestablished, there'll be more applications that come through, and then the numbers will sort of move up. So it's very dependent on who the correspondent is at the time and what their workload is, because everybody is overloaded, and for them to do this volunteer is a great help to us. We also have a bursary fund that we send. Last year we sent money for one student for the bursary, and this year we have we don't have any students that we've sent any money to this year. We have one inquiry, but no actual applications. So this year, I don't think we've sent anything. Last year, we did support one student who was in their final year. So a quick summary is that we have 587 children sponsored this year. We are working now in 6 different countries because we are no longer in Bolivia, and we have about 400 different sponsors. And we continue to be a 100% Canadian organization and a 100% Seventh-day Adventist organization, in that we only send our money to Adventist organizations. So we'll do a financial review.
Before you do the financial review,
yes,
I have a suggestion or question, especially to the new staff coming on board.
Yeah.
Haiti has been devastated. Very, very badly. And I'm wondering whether or not you would take into consideration and the new staff of looking into some working with the conference. Okay, I hear you're working with the conference in some of these countries.
So
And doing something for the children.
no, and I totally understand the need for it. Generally, the way our projects start is if we have someone that we know from here, one of our churches here, it doesn't have to be Willowdale.
I've been calling the conference, I've been calling people.
Yeah, so if we have someone who has been over there, who has established sort of a line of communication, a line where we can send our funding through, that's usually how we can get something started. We also need that person to sort of start up. So say if it was one of your churches and you went on a mission trip to Haiti and you came back and you had, your Sabbath school group who had 8 people who said, we would be more than willing to sponsor children, let's get this going. That's generally how we start, because it's hard for us to just sort of start a project. We don't have a sponsorship base. We really need someone to come to us with the project, a little bit of a sponsorship base, and then we can work through the channels that they know. So it is always open for, it's always a possibility that we could start something.
So I called a conference,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just touched by what I saw, the devastation there. And the conference said that they can put me into somebody who's from there, but who's been living there. So I made contact with Pastor Jacques,
Mm-hmm.
who's from there. And I said to Pastor Jacques, we as Seventh-day Adventists need to do something for that country. So I've been watching the news, and certain areas have been shown on the news. The devastation is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So I called ADRA and
Yep.
I asked them, please, I can get Agape to be the place. We will do a bid. I just said, no, we'll send me. So I said, I'm coming up to visit you guys in ADRA. You need to live in these areas. We live in a developed country.
Yes.
And I'm not from Haiti. I'm just from the Caribbean. We live in a developed country. We have a lot in these countries. When you actually go on a devastation, it touches you. So I'm from the Caribbean. I know what it is like. I haven't met Pastor Jacques as yet. I said, Pastor Jacques, you know what? I will go with you to Haiti when you go.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how serious I am to adopt a family in Haiti. So I need to have the church, ADRA, somebody on board with me. I will go to Haiti. I will go through Pastor Jacques. I will go through ADRA.
Right.
I will go through the conference. I was told that there is an ADRA there.
Okay.
I have been able to do the connection letter. I called a cousin of mine in West Palm Beach, and they take food down to a particular point in Haiti. I'm trying to do the connection because I don't know the country. So I'm trying to connect this food that goes down every Thursday, but this is in Port-au-Prince, so I'm trying to get some geographical sense of the country to know where there's cases and this devastation. So I'm trying to connect the dots, and I'm coming through C.H.E.R again to say, look, we can start something there. We can help a child, 2 children there. We need to do something for Haiti.
It is definitely possible. So if you do go, you can connect with me.
Yes,
and then we can talk. Then we can talk about the type of people that you would need to talk to. What schools there would be, because we need to sponsor through a school, because we're different than ADRA, because ADRA is
the conference that's there, they can really.
So we could definitely do that. So if you have a mission trip that you are going to go on and you have that in mind, then we could definitely talk about it and see if we can, start setting something up where we would at least be talking to the right people.
Yes. Okay. So I will stay in touch.
Okay. Excellent. Okay.
I had 2 questions for the first issue. One of them was your last one where you said we sponsor the schools, 100% Adventist.
Yes.
So the schools are all Adventist
Yes.
managed and operated?
Yes.
So that is an important factor?
Yes.
Even the street hostel and?
The street hostels they're all Adventist organizations. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we deal with an Adventist organization, we focus on the education.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, do you ever have a situation where you've got more sponsors than applications?
No.
No. So,
Never.
So we normally have a need for additional sponsors.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is never too many sponsors.
Oh, I was just wondering, 'cause the numbers were down.
The numbers are down. The numbers are unfortunately steadily going down. Um, it would be good if we knew how to encourage people more our age to sponsor, because a lot of the sponsors that we've had are more elderly, retired people, and their incomes go down and their life, everything changes for them. And a lot of them say, I can no longer do this. I'm moving in with my daughter. I'm going to a home, things like that. And so that's a lot of our sponsors. So if we can, start to target younger people anywhere, like as soon as they start working, as soon as they, start getting jobs, 25, 26, start young, help it to be part of their family life even. If we can figure that out, we can, hang on to them like we hang on to our board members, So yeah, that would be a good thing if we knew how to really tap into that younger generation, so that it would keep on going. Any other questions? Okay, let's go into finances. So, C.H.E.R, we have two types of funds that we look at when I look at the finances. We have our sponsorship money, we have our operating funds. The sponsorship money is the money that the sponsors send in, that monthly $27 a month fee. And the operating funds is that 11% that we take out and we use to pay the expenses of C.H.E.R. So those are the two different types of funds. So in our sponsorship funds, as I said, we have our 89%. So out of the $27, there's a dollar bill. I don't know when the last time any of us saw an actual dollar bill down there, but there's a dollar bill. We use 89% of the donation. It goes directly to the school. Only 11% stays back, and that's what we use to manage our office and our operations and things like that. So this last year, 2015, this is the amount of money that we sent out to our different projects, almost $270,000. And that you can see is, I don't think I need to read you the breakdown, but that's the amount that went out to each of our different projects. India is, of course, the largest. And then some of the ones that I'll point out, there is a food fund. So that's a little bit of extra money. We set that up several years ago when the contact who was in Malawi, the orphanage, there asked for extra money for food because they work on this sort of growing season, and sometimes they have more and sometimes they have less, and it's not something I would have ever thought about. So we started sending a little bit of money extra to them during those sort of low times, and then it developed into more of a broader fund. So we have a fund, and then every month to all the projects we send a little bit of extra money just to help boost the food budget, because part of the sponsorship money is used to educate the children as well as give them a hot meal during the day. So they're there for school and they all get like a hot lunch. So it just helps to boost their food budget. The gift fund in the middle there for $5,000, we send twice a year. A gift to the children, so it spreads. Sometimes sponsors will send, here's $50 for a gift for my child. We can't do that. We put it into the gift fund, and that gift fund is dispersed among all the C.H.E.R children, so that the schools get a lump sum of money and they can split it up to the children, and they can all buy them a backpack, or they can buy them a set of clothing or something like that. And so all the kids are treated equally, rather than one child who had a sponsor that really remembered and sent them like this elaborate gift, and then all the other kids don't get anything. So that's what the gift fund is for. Second to the last is a Greatest Needs Fund, and we use that. Sometimes people send money into C.H.E.R that's not like allocated for their child, and so we'll put it into the Greatest Needs Fund. The Greatest Needs Fund is used to sponsor children whose sponsors have like dropped out of the program, and maybe they left a balance, or we're just keeping them sort of in the interim until we can reassign them to a sponsor. So it just helps to keep the kids sponsored during that time where they don't have a sponsor. And the Memorial Fund was from last year. It was actually set up in my father's name. It was set up in 2013, and then the following year, my family put a little bit more money into that, and that money was sent not to any of our day schools, but actually to the nursing school that in India that my parents both went to study at where Pratima, did you grow up there in Newsweek?
No.
No. Nearby?
Oh, well,
Not too nearby.
My
Well,
grandparents were there. So we went.
Sheila's been there actually. Sheila's been, in fact, Sheila was the one who distributed the money the first time or the second time?
First time. Can I just tell everybody?
Yeah, yeah.
So I was in India at the time that the Memorial Fund, and Sue had sent me an email saying, would you mind going by the school? So I made a special trip to Newsvid and went to the nursing school. So this is where both her parents went to, is the nursing school.
Yeah, both my parents went to this nursing school. That's where they met. That's where they were baptized. So many of our uncles and aunties came from this.
And they've got a big hospital there. So there's a very, very big hospital. There's a big Adventist church there. And Sue had sent me an email, and I said I'd absolutely be delighted to go to Newsvid. And so I went there. And what they did was I asked to see the people that were getting the sponsorship money. Now, Sue had contacted the school to ask who they could distribute the funds to, anybody that was in need.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, when I got there, we had a nice little presentation at the school, and I met every single one personally, and not everybody got the same amount. Some got full scholarship, some just got a smaller amount. And I know Sue's family prayed an awful lot about this. And it's interesting that the one that got the full scholarship had no place to go. This was his last hope in life. He was like living on the edge, no parents, no family. The school had taken him in, but there was no funds for him. I had never seen anybody so grateful in my life, because you know what? When you're giving money to these kids, it's giving them a lease on life, and it's giving them an education, even if it's for a short time. But this is university level. They can go out and they will be nurses after this. I mean, it's absolutely amazing, and they'll get a good solid education. I mean, the school's one of the nicest schools around. So I have to really applaud Sue and her family for doing this in her father's name, and for sponsoring.
My parents, so.
Sponsoring, I think there were 13 people she was sponsoring for university. I mean, absolutely amazing. And I thought it was the biggest blessing ever that I was allowed to go and do that on behalf of Sue's family.
I'm sure it touched you.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
You know that you'll always be touched. Yeah, the need is great.
Yeah.
So that's a little description of our funds. That's where our money is going. So we'll just talk a quick bit about the operating budget. The amount of money that we got into our operating budget in 2015 was just shy of $40,000, $39,903. So the operating budget comes in different ways. We have the administrative fees, so that's out of $27 that people send in, we keep back 11%, which is $2.67, I believe, that we keep out of every donation. So that's what we call the administrative fee. The general donations, which is the I can see it better on my screen, which is the 29%. Definitely not the investment interest. We are not getting that much on investments. So general donations are people who just write a check to C.H.E.R and say, you know, here's $50 for your organization. So that's what we consider a general donation. And then investment is how much money we get off. We have a small investment that we keep with the SDACC revolving fund. And so we get a small amount on that. So that's where that money comes in from. And this is how we use our operating expenses. And I'm very excited at the bottom that we finally have a surplus. And we had a surplus in 2015, which was very nice. It has been several years since we've had a surplus. What was the type of income that we used to get off of those, the income trust? And we used to get a lot of money in from these income trusts before the economy changed, and then all of a sudden our investment interest went like to almost nothing per month. So that really changed how much money we got in. So you can see what we get here. You can see my salary. Everybody knows how much I make. I just had to get used to the fact that my salary is public knowledge to everybody. $24,480. It's easy to do this slide because that number never changes. It's been the same since I started, and the payroll taxes have been the same approximately. The things that change are the office expenses, which are actually down from last year. We are actually keeping our office expenses down. Unfortunately, our insurance and our audit costs are about $500 higher than they were last year, and that's just because they all raised their prices. And the same thing with our bank charges. Our bank charges are up as well because banks love to charge us money for standing at the teller and doing almost nothing. So they those things go up, and we've talked about our audit, and we're a charity at the income level that we need to have an audit every year. If we were a little bit lower, I think it's under $250,000 in donations. If we're under that, we only require what's considered a financial review, and so that would cost less. But unfortunately, we've moved up into a bracket where we are required an audit.
Observation. Did you say our salary didn't go up?
Not a penny.
It's COLA. It was up as 1% it has to go up.
Well, no, it's I'm good.
We have brought this to her many times.
They have. It's not them. It's not them. They have brought it to me many times, and they always say, if we ever replace you, we'll have to pay more. And I said, well, then at that point you can pay more. For me, I'm fine. I don't.
Okay, once you're fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. No, I don't mean to say it's them. No, it's definitely not them. It's me. I'm happy with what I have. The Lord has blessed my husband with salary increases, so I'll just let it be that, and so we'll just leave it because I know how little we have at C.H.E.R. And so where am I going to take the money from, really, to be honest with you? So.
Okay, I got it.
Any other questions on the expenses? Are we all happy that there was a surplus? I was happy that there was a surplus at the end of the year. So that actually is the end of the financial information. It's a very simple operation here at C.H.E.R. So is there any other questions about the finances? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for pointing that out. I didn't mean for it to be placed on them. They have asked me many times to increase. So our goals at C.H.E.R. just to continue to support our existing projects, to increase our sponsorship base, and then just to continue to build awareness through our churches, and continue to operate with a surplus, even if it's just a little bit. A surplus just makes us feel so much better, so we don't have to eat into the capital that could be used to help our children. So I have a few things here that are from our schools. How am I doing on time? 4:25. So I don't know if I'll be able to play all of them. We have a few messages from our schools that they sent us. So this is Avanigata. Sheila has been standing in there with those kids.
I've been there twice. Yeah.
Do you recognize any of them?
You know what? I'll tell you, they all look their hair like that.
Yeah, they do. When my daughter saw the video, she had her hair in braids, and then she looped them up and thought she said her hair braids weren't long enough for it. Honey, how do I? Just click on it? And then.
Greetings from SDS School, Manila, Cambodia. I'm Nilul Deepka. I'm studying 10th class with the help of C.H.E.R. I'm very happy to study this institution where I can develop my talents in various participate in various social activities and programs after schools and the hostel. And take services our principal sir, Mr. G. Adams, taking care of us. He is giving all facilities in our hostel and school. Thank you for your working help. With the help of sponsors, you are lovely, you are wonderful and love and compassion. Thank you very much for your wonderful help. With the caring hearts towards us. Thank you.
Okay, I will get you a different one. How do I say it? Just like this. Okay, so let me get you the next one. This one's from Bangladesh.
Did they all do a video?
Not all of them.
Standing behind the camera, I'm Richard Marandi, BCSS Manager for South Bangladesh Mission. I have come to Kanamesh boarding school to visit the school, and now I have meet a student, and now she will speak in front of you.
Hi.
Hello.
আমার নাম আনিকা মিনা।
My name is Anika Mridha.
আমি সপ্তম শ্রেণীতে পড়ি।
I study in grade 7.
আমি খুবই খুশি C.H.E.R স্পন্সর পেয়ে।
I am very happy to have C.H.E.R sponsorship.
আপনার সাহায্য ছাড়া এই সুন্দর বোর্ডিং স্কুলে আমি পড়াশোনা করতে পারতাম।
Without your sponsorship support, I could not study in this beautiful boarding school.
সুতরাং এটা আমার সুযোগ এই সুন্দর স্কুলে পড়ালেখা করার।
So this is my privilege and opportunity to study in this beautiful boarding school.
আমি বিশ্বাস করি এই স্কুলে পড়ালেখা করে আমি কৃতকার্য হতে পারব।
I believe as I am studying here, I will be succeed.
এই স্কুল আমার খুব ভালো লাগে।
I love this school.
এই স্কুলের নিয়ম কানুন আমার খুব ভালো লাগে।
I love all the rules and regulations.
এবং এই স্কুলের শিক্ষক মণ্ডলী আমাকে খুব ভালোবাসে।
So all the teachers, they love me very much.
এখানে আমার অনেক বন্ধু এবং অনেক শিক্ষক মণ্ডলী আছে।
I have many kind friends and teachers here.
শিক্ষক মণ্ডলীরা খুব সুন্দরভাবে আমাকে শিক্ষা দিয়ে থাকে।
My teachers, they teach me very nicely.
আমি বিশ্বাস করি তাদের শিক্ষা ধরে রেখে আমি খুব উপরে যেতে পারব।
I believe as they are guiding me, I will achieve my future goal.
প্রিয় স্পন্সর,
Dear sponsor,
আপনাকে খুবই ধন্যবাদ আমাকে ভালোবাসা ও সাহায্যের জন্য।
thank you very much for supporting me and for your kind love.
Bye.
Bye.
So cute. So cute. And then here's a little, a quick one from Bangladesh with a group of children.
প্রিয় স্পন্সর, আপনাকে ধন্যবাদ দিয়ে আমাদের সাহায্য করার জন্য। আমাদের জন্য প্রার্থনা করবেন যেন আমরা ভালোমতো পড়াশোনা করতে পারি। ঈশ্বর আপনার মঙ্গল করুন।
There's a translation, but I cut that out because he was taking too long.
I think I heard C.H.E.R in there. though.
Yeah. Let's see, what do I have now?
Very friendly kids.
Very friendly, and they're so happy, and they love do you hear that? They love their teachers, and they say their teachers love them so much, and it's so sweet. I will show you, well, there's a few pictures from Yamakani. They weren't able to send me a video. That's an example of the gift fund where all the kids got a backpack together, and they have nice little children there. And there's a thank you letter. Thank you for helping me go to school. My favorite subject is English. I am 12 years old. I love playing hide and seek and swimming. I am in standard 5. God bless you very much, Flora. And then there's another one that says, thank you for sponsoring our education. And then there's a picture that says me, Archangelo, and I can't read the rest. And my favorite subject is math. I like mangoes. And then here's the last one from another school that Sheila has gone to. And this is the last one I'll show you. And she gives a nice little unscripted tour or explanation of her school life.
Hi, I'm Madhavi. I'm studying 10th standard in Robert L. Robinson Memorial High School of Seventh-day Adventists. In my class, we are 60 members. We have good teachers. They teach us everything. In my class, we have a fun. They taught us everything: how to behave in campus, how to behave with teachers and elders. I learned everything in this school only. This school was established by Pastor Bob Robinson. We changed our name as Robert Robinson Memorial High School of Seventh-day Adventists. I'm from poor family. My father is a daily laborer. I don't know English. When I came to this school, I learned English and I learned English songs. We have a church on Saturday morning 9:15. We start our Sabbath school program. I participate participated in Sabbath school program. I tell stories for kindergarten children. I learn memory verses. We have a pastor. Taught us memory verses, and he teaches songs, and he tell messages to everyone. We have a good campus, and we have a good plants. I pour water for plants. Um, on Saturday after Sabbath school program, we have AJ program. I participated in quiz and I participated in skit. I enjoyed a lot. We have a fun on Saturday. On Sunday, we'll see our hostels and we'll see our campus, and we wash our clothes and we clean everything. I thank my sponsor, C.H.E.R Canada, for helping me to study in this school. I thank God for giving a good sponsor to study in this school. Thank you. Namaste.
She learned English there.
But yeah, apparently. So, it's pretty amazing what we can do, and you can see how happy they are, unlike kids here, they like their rules and regulations, and they enjoy the discipline, and she has her Saturday activities which she finds fun, and on Sunday they wash their clothes and clean their hostels and things like that. So we are a small organization, but we are doing something really, really powerful for these kids, and I thank you all for participating. So that is the end of my presentation. Do you have any questions for me? We are going to move to our speaker. Okay, John, I will.
No, I get to introduce Pastor Greaves. Thank you. Pastor Robert Greaves is a graduate from the ministerial program at Canadian Union College. He's currently pursuing a Master's of Theology degree at Tyndale Seminary. Currently serves as evangelism and ministries pastor here at Willowdale, which includes community services. Along with his wife, Enrel, the Greaves are originally from the sunny island of Barbados and have lived in Canada for the last 27 years. Robert has a passion for people, and the family enjoys spending time involved in several areas of community services. In previous years, they have had involvement with caring for Canada's First Nations people, supporting soup kitchen drives, and prison ministry fellowships. Pastor Greaves believes that love for God is expressed, that the love for God is love expressed, love for others. There we go, love for others. And it makes a difference between living life and living life abundantly. Robert aims to see individuals discover their spiritual gifts, using them for happy and wholesome life. Loves music, nature, and the outdoors. The Greaves have two wonderful children, Ambra and Kayla, who attend Burman University. That's great. So that's the new CUC.
Yes.
So good. So thank you. I'm glad to introduce you to speak to us.
Well, I truly don't know what I can say to uplift this crowd more than what has already been presented in the financial review, as well as in the outreach slides and responses that we have had from Sue's presentation. But I'm certainly going to try under the banner of this topic. I just want to engage your thoughts for a few minutes, looking at the cross and viewing the cross as a responsible call to social involvement. What I'm going to do briefly is this afternoon is a very quick historical reflection on some of the images of the cross and what they mean as we look at responsible social engagement in our opportunity and time. And I was very distinctive there when I said opportunity and time, because we have a limited opportunity within all of the time that is available out there. I'll begin with short historical perspectives and move to the interest at heart, which is our involvement in social engagement. Typically, when we see crosses in our places of worship, these are two of the images that we would probably come across. The one to the left is a fairly orthodox image of what we would see when we reflect on the cross, and the one to the right is more evangelical. And there's a significant difference there. If you look at these two crosses, you would notice that while the crucifix is the same, one of them has an image of the suffering Jesus on it, which is more in line with the Orthodox tradition. I'm going to look at this and then move on to its significance. In Orthodox images of the cross, it's very typical that we will see an image of Jesus in his passion and in his suffering. And that is very, very important in their tradition, because the high point of their worship service is the Eucharist. It is the pain and passion of Christ that is reflected through, the emblems that are given each Sunday as people come to worship. And this was very, very important right up until perhaps the Protestant Reformation. Next year we will celebrate 500 years of Protestant Reform thinking on the basis of the theses that were nailed onto the door by Martin Luther. And as you can see, this image is an image that was drawn around 1460. And that was the image of the cross that prevailed up until then, and it still prevails today in our Orthodox places of worship. If we move along to a more evangelical image of the cross, we would notice that there is an empty cross, and that's a very significant difference. Whether we notice it or not, we come to our churches every Sabbath, and perhaps we, see the cross in our church here in Willowdale. We have one hanging in the middle of our sanctuary. But the absence, there's more emphasis on just the cross itself without the crucified person on it. And the reasoning behind that is, in our evangelical tradition, we focus more on the risen Christ. We focus more on the return of Christ. We focus more on Christ having triumph over the grave. Especially in our Adventist tradition, because we are one of those churches which believe in the real and imminent return of Jesus Christ. But the question that I would pose to you this afternoon as we reflect on the work that is being done by C.H.E.R Canada is there a meaningful image of the cross that can represent what we do as Christians while we're waiting for the return of Jesus Christ? Certainly, we as Seventh-day Adventists see the crucified Christ as being very, very important. We would never diminish what happened on the cross when Jesus died. And of course, we also see the resurrected Christ and the return of Christ as being very, very important. But as we live as individuals today, in what I would call the gap between these two dispensations, is there a meaningful way for us to look at the cross? And if there is, what would that be? And this is what I would propose through images of the cross that come to us in what is known as the theology of liberation. What is the theology of liberation? It is something that moves us and drives us to the sort of activity in which C.H.E.R is involved. And if we go back to what is written in the 4th chapter of Luke, this is what Jesus said about his ministry. Luke captures his ministry by saying, because he has anointed me to do what? To proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, to set the oppressed free, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. Of course, that's a text, but what would an image of that look like? One of the leading persons, as they reflect on the theology of liberation, which is the theology of helping suffering people, is, and this man, now, mind you, I'm not a part of the conspiracy theory of Jesuit infiltration into the Seventh-day Adventist Church, but however, this gentleman, he happens to be a Roman Catholic thinker, and I think that when it comes to helping the poor, there is no differentiation between Adventists or Catholics or Anglicans or whatever faith persuasion you may come from. It's common grounds for us all. But this gentleman, his name is Gustavo Gutierrez, and I just want to share with you something that he wrote on this topic of liberation, which is helping the poor. He said, liberation theologians interpret scripture in the light of their situation and the situation in light of scripture. Within this hermeneutical circle, they affirm that God in Christ enters into solidarity with the poor and the less fortunate. Liberation theology insists on beginning with an image of Christ from below. That is, starting with the concrete historical ministry of Jesus Christ, rather than starting from above. And when we talk about starting from above, we're talking about pondering on things like the Trinity and what does that mean and the human and divine nature of Christ. He says, no, there's a more practical starting point for Christians, and it is focusing on the ministry of Christ with respect to what he did as Christ, the person, and we put aside these difficult and abstract and more abstract thinking until we can come to terms with that. He says, when we begin from below, with the historical Jesus and his ministry in first century Palestine, we find ourselves face to face with one who proclaimed the near advent of God's kingdom of justice and freedom, who blessed the poor, who forgave sinners, who had fellowship with the outcast. He befriended women. He collided with the religious self-righteousness and the custodians of the law, and evoked suspicion and anger of the Roman authorities with his message and with his ministry. If we focus on the concrete ministry, suffering, and death of Jesus, we cannot avoid the conclusion that God, revealed and made present through Jesus Christ, enters into solidarity with the poor and with the less fortunate. Since it is the poor who are being unjustly excluded, it must be the poor who are included first of all in the divine economy of salvation. I like what he says as he tells us what liberation theology is. I put it in more simple terms. I want to put it in terms that we can all relate to in our worship expression this afternoon. And I find that in the words of Thomas Shepherd, who wrote this beautiful line around 1693, when he said, "Must Jesus bear the cross alone and all the world go free? No, there's a cross for everyone, and there's a cross for me." Oftentimes when we think of bearing the cross alone, we can think of our own internal struggles, our own internal difficulties, the things that we have to go through life and contend with as Christians. But is there a different image of bearing the cross of Jesus Christ? And this is a photograph that I saw in my very, very early years at Canadian University College when I was starting down the path towards ministry. And it has had a very profound effect on shaping my thinking. And I believe that this photograph that you're looking at this afternoon is a fitting image of the cross as we think about the cross with the crucified Christ and the cross without Christ on it, which is a symbol of the resurrection and the work that he's doing today. I think this is a fitting image of the cross. And what is this image? It is an image of Jesus taking the poor and the most needy down from the cross. I believe when we talk about bearing the cross of Jesus Christ, that this is what our responsibility is as Christians. Not just to contend with our own internal sufferings and our own internal issues and struggles, but taking it one step beyond and assisting in the idea of taking those who are providing for those who are going through very challenging times, who, not by any fault of their own, are not able to grasp and take hold of some of the things that we take for granted. I love this image of the cross, getting the poor down from the cross. And we're not just talking about the poor in economic terms, but we're using this word broadly to say and to describe those who may not be privy to having some of the conveniences and pleasures that we have in our everyday life. When I saw that photograph, this is a photograph of my starting point. I was very pleased this afternoon as I sat here and listened to you talk about Haiti, because when we think of liberation theology, when we think of being involved in something like C.H.E.R Canada, each one of us must have a starting point that drives us and convicts us that this is what God is calling us to do. And this photograph was something that I was exposed to by Dr. Tennyson Samraj and Dr. Douglas Natasio at Canadian University College. But it gripped me in such a way that I knew that if I was going to move forward and be a part of Christian ministry, that my Christian ministry had to find expression somehow in helping those who were less fortunate than I. And for me, that starting point came with being involved with Canada's First Nations people, working with and helping children whose parents were incarcerated, parents who in many cases were dealing with drug addiction and whatever it may be. Each one of us needs to have a starting point. And I remember that one of the things that gripped me, convicted me very deeply when I started down this path was my journeys up to the reservations. And I've said within the context of this church in sermons, and I'll say it here, as we focus on what it means to be involved in C.H.E.R Canada, what it means to be involved in freeing the poor from the cross, it gripped me that the first thing that I always drove by as I went in to minister to these individuals was a prison. Before you entered into the reservation, the first thing that we came to was a prison. And that jail was full. It was full of people who had defaulted on child support, people who had been arrested because they were drinking, and family violence, and you name it. But the reality is that suffering imprisons everyone. And that was what I walked away from. As I drove past that prison, I said to myself, I don't want to look at this in terms of social statements, in terms of what it might reflect historically. I just want to look at this in terms of how does suffering and poverty and dejection, how it imprisons us. And this was my starting point. And we started to do things to help those children. I'm very touched this afternoon by what I have seen in the work of C.H.E.R Canada. And I believe that this is a work fully in line with the statement that Jesus Christ is remembered to have said through the Gospel of Luke, where he stated, I have come into this world to set free those who are oppressed, those who are less fortunate. And so I just want to compliment you on what has been accomplished. I want to congratulate the board on what has been achieved. And I want to pray that God will continue to bless this ministry and the vision of it as it unfolds in 2016. And and 2017. As I come to a close, you may say, I don't know, I don't want to be the judge of what I have said here this afternoon, but I want to believe that at least on some level it has resonated with you, and perhaps on some level that it has been substantive. And you may be asking, what is the connection between such a deep thinker like Gustavo Gutierrez, who was a part of the inspiration of this depiction of Christ? He was fully involved in that depiction. And in fact, there's a stamp that bears his face, that has his image and this depiction on that stamp, and someone like Michael Jackson. Here's the connection. Here's the connection. I believe that what Michael Jackson said years ago in his popular song is a part of the theology of liberation. You know, one of the things that I have studied since my undergraduate years is the theology, I like theology, is the theology in modern worship music. And I would not make this statement unless it was undergirded by someone who is more astute and has more credibility than I. So thinking of Alistair McGrath, who's a theologian, he has looked at this as well. And reviewing 72 contemporary worship songs, he says that the only theology that is emitted in these worship songs is the theology of praise. It's the theology of the person being lifted up and wanting to be in the presence of Christ. But some of the ideas of justification, some of these other big words that we use around our church, that this is not as present in modern worship music. That it's a very narrow slice at times of what it means to be a Christian. I'm not here to critique or to say that everything does not have a place. But I wonder if someday, as we venture into more and more modern worship music, when you look at how music has come into the church, this is a very sometimes controversial issue, but a lot of music that is Christian music today was not Christian music at its origin and at its birth. And I wonder if someday, in our desire to embrace those who were poor and who are less fortunate than us, if a song like this song could ever make it into our worship experience. What would it be like if we came to church one Sabbath and what we were worshiping and praising to was this song that was put forward by Michael Jackson as a call to our social responsibility? Wouldn't that be a groundbreaking revelation? Because what Michael Jackson said many years ago is something that I believe has been embraced by this organization, because here we are in Canada and we're doing our very, very best to touch the lives of those who are 3 or 4 time zones away. The words are there and we can reflect on them together. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true. We'll make a better day, just you and me. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could sing this song as a part of what it means when we reflect on the cross, and not just the upward reflection, which is the relationship between us and Christ, but also as we focus on the cross with the lateral reflection of what it means between us and our fellow man. I'll leave you with this thought as you contemplate the current work and the ongoing work of C.H.E.R Canada, as we see this as a branch of liberation theology, setting at liberty those who are less fortunate than ourselves.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Pastor Greaves. On behalf of the board, I just want to say thank you very much for that great presentation. We have a little card for you, so don't go too far, so I don't have to crawl over. On behalf of the board, we want to thank you so much for coming here today. And we know you're just as passionate about this work as we are. And I mean, your presentation showed us that today. And I know you've been on a lot of mission trips and you're out there helping the poor all the time and those less fortunate. So I want to thank you for that and for your spirit in helping people. Thank you.
It has been a pleasure.
And I want to thank everybody for coming out today. And Sue, thank you for such a wonderful presentation. It's just wonderful seeing those kids. And I mean, Sue's told you I've been a few times and I've seen those kids. I see where our money goes to and how they make that dollar stretch. And they make it stretch and they make it stretch. You know, those kids have to be fed. They've got their one little uniform they're wearing. And I mean, on Sunday, oh yeah, they're all washing that uniform for the rest of the week. And it's a good thing that this organization does. So I want to thank everybody so much for coming out today. I encourage everybody to find another sponsor. We need more sponsors desperately. And it's true what Sue said. A lot of people, we've got an older generation who have been sponsoring C.H.E.R Kids from the beginning, and we need to find a new group to sponsor because we need years and years more to go. So I encourage everybody to go, when they leave today, go find another sponsor. There's lots of kids, absolutely lots of kids that need sponsoring still. So thank you for coming out, and I hope you enjoyed the food and the company, and we'll see you again next year.
Thank you.
And I'll just close off with prayer. Thanks. My dear Lord God in heaven, I want to thank you so much, and I want to thank you for letting us get together today, my dear Lord, and for all of the good work that you are overseeing all over the world. My dear Lord, I want a special blessing for all of those C.H.E.R kids all over the world and all of the kids who are in need and poor. So my dear Lord, I ask that you bless all the sponsorship money coming in because it's doing such a good work. And please help us find more sponsors and more kids that we can help. I ask all of this in your name. Amen.
Amen. So we suggest we put those things items in different church bulletins just to get the word out.
Yeah.
Because the reason I came on board.